So the first case of PCOS, we saw how leg caninum helped, and the whole approach was to understand the mind of this particular patient. Leg caninum, coming from the milk, classic attention, affection, and appreciation. This is a combination which is needed for leg caninum, and typical strong craving or aversion for milk. In premenstrual, lot of breast tenderness, heaviness, and swelling, where the slightest jar causes problem. Okay, so for the students, I'm actually focusing on the process of solving, because what happens again, when you give one particular remedy in a case of PCOS, maybe you try different potencies and then again it comes to a dead end where nothing is happening. This confusion, how to go about it. So I'll tell you there could be another approach. So one we saw was a constitutional approach where you understand the mind body together, make a totality and prescribe. If your classical totality approach doesn't help, what to do? Don't panic. There is another way in which you could analyze the case. So typically, when it's a case of PCOS and a gynec related problem, in detail, if you understand the problems before, during, and after menstruation, in detail, I'm saying, not just superficial where you just ask, do you have any problems? No. So only understanding the menses fails. So this is what I would like to say, just factor in the whole entire patient, just choosing one area that's a gynec related or the uterus, and understanding the pathology, the menses, the premenstrual, the menstrual, and the postmenstrual, and the associated symptoms only related to gynec per se, and studying them together could also help us to come up with remedies which could help you in PCOS cases. So understanding only this sector or doing a sectoral totality. You could also make a totality, like for example, if you think it is a X remedy, maybe it is a pulsatilla, okay, but somebody who comes with lot of acute menstrual complaints during the PCOD or the menstruation, and just making this kind of small totality might help you to give maybe any other acute that might be required during the menstruation. Okay, so it's good to have a small study and to keep your medicines ready to prescribe when needed. So when I say what are the complaints before, during, and after, it's not a simple question, do you have any problem before, during, and after, but from head to foot. So you can see here in Bonninghausen, you can find rubrics like menstruation before, and sub rubrics like mental, faintness, vertigo, head, eyes, vision, ear, hearing, face. So when you also take a case, especially for the young doctors, I'm saying, just don't ask superficial questions, but go to every part, because the patient sometimes forgets. So ask them, do you have any problem in your head or nose or throat or breast or extremities or digestion or sweat or generals? So give them a hint, make them at least recollect, and you will find some characteristic here, that either you'll see there's some mental change that happens before menses, or some general change, or some peculiar symptom that you might see. But you have to guide the patient going from each area, trying to understand if there is any peculiarity or a concomitant with the menses, that is before, during, and after menses. So again, if anybody gets a headache before menses, then again confirm, is the headache before or during menses. Also, to know the symptoms, particularly during menses, you have to follow the same order from head to foot. Is anything, any change happen in your head or mouth or throat? Just a little guidance will give you a lot of symptoms, very peculiar symptoms. Okay. Um, So this is one thing. Don't forget, you have to guide the patients. So using this particular approach, I want to tell you another case that I solved and actually helped me. So I would like to share this approach with you. So this was a case of a 19-year-old girl She is a known case of PCOD, and I was already treating her for almost a year. And now currently she comes with a ovarian cyst. Okay. So she has a right sided ovarian cyst. And she was on homeopathy, but it was off and on because as she was better, her menses were now regular. But since few months, because of the lot of final exam stress, she had a lot of stress. Secondly, she was just sitting, not exercising, just eating junk. And whenever she's stressed, she also tends to eat a lot. And she was putting on weight. And now she came up with this particular problem that she had a lot of pain, extreme pain in the right lower abdomen. The ultrasonography was done where it was found out that there's this ovarian cyst there, and the doctors told them it could lead to torsion and there could be complication. They were extremely worried. So right now when they came to me, what were the symptoms? So sudden pain in the right ovary, and it would come anytime. So there was no peculiar modality when she would get it. So even when she's eating or talking or walking, anytime it would come, but it would be very, very acute, the pain. So every time the pain comes, she completely freezes. She can't move. That is that acute pain. Okay, she has to completely freeze with the pain, not move. And the pain doesn't allow her to move a bit also. Since last 2 months again, that since the time her menses had become irregular, pimples had started increasing. She has a history of acne in the past, but now they are coming up again. And since last couple of periods, she saw that before menses, there were a lot of aggravation, that she was getting delayed menses, the menses were becoming delayed. And again, there was a lot of premenstrual problems, like she started getting breast pain before menses. Sudden motion or jar would cause lot of pain in the breast. She was getting feverish before menses. Lot of mood swings before menses. Sometimes she would be angry, sometimes she would be crying. Lot of emotional disturbance before menses. And when she was here in the acute, there were no dreams. There were the old fears which she had. She used to have in the past: fear of dark, fear of snake, fear of narrow places, fear of death. These fears had come down to a lot of extent. And her generals were good. Her appetite, thirst, urine, stool, everything was good. Now the only worry was about the cyst, that it should not rupture or it should not turn. It was some 3.5 centimeters cyst, and the doctor said it might go in a torsion. So that was the worry, and the worry that she might not have children in future. So now understand, the first case we saw that there was no symptoms around the menses. Do you remember that case? So there was a delayed menses, but there was no pre, during, and post menstrual symptoms. Whereas in this particular case, we see lot of symptoms around the menstrual cycle, and we hardly see any mental symptom as such. Like there is no current fears right now. There are no strong dreams right now. Are you with me? The fear which she has is what is put by the doctor, that she might need an operation, or she might not have children and she might have to go for surgery. So the approach changes in this particular case. And what we are discussing is the repertory, that how just a sectorial or understanding the menses in that would help you to come with a remedy. So the approach which I took in this particular case, so this was her old repertorization. This is her old personality type, where you can see a lot of mind symptoms were taken. This is her old prescription. Calcarea she was on, where female amenorrhea, fear of dark, fear of ghosts, snakes, narrow places, startling from noise, obesity. She was always obese since childhood, and mathematics inept for, not good in maths. So these were her constitutional symptoms which were taken, and Calcarea was prescribed. Calcarea helped her for a long time, but now she has come with the acute, that is a cyst that has appeared in the ovary. And the question is, shall we just repeat calcarea because it helped in the past? It should typically help. But she was already on calcarea LM. The last time when I was prescribed, whatever I had prescribed her was calcarea LM. And it's been 3 to 4 months. She was very irregular with that medicine. But instead of just blindly giving or repeating your remedy back, I felt let us study the current picture. Are you with me? So in the acute, whatever the picture she is giving me, the premenstrual problems or the changes that has happened. So classically, aphorism 6 says that not the healthy state of the person, but what you have to see is the deviation from the former state of health of a now diseased individual that are felt by the patient, remarked by those around, and observed by the physician. So whatever she was, but now whatever things have changed. So I just studied this deviated state. I just thought I will understand this change state. Okay, and just understood the totality of her menses. A different approach. So the symptoms which I took were female menses before. So lot of complaints in on general female system before menses. Face eruption menses before. The acne what she had started getting. Chest pain menses before. This was a symptom which has come up strongly. Chest pain may motion aggravate. Chest pain may motion aggravate rough. Any rough jerk or motion aggravated her. Now you see there were a lot of mental symptoms, like there was crying before menses, there were anger before menses. So instead of taking separately, I have taken generalized it like mind menses before. Anything that's happening in your mind, anger, sadness, shifting of thoughts, whatever is happening, menses before. So the rubric is mind menses before. Anything happening with your mind menses before. Female pain ovaries right. So typically the location, the right ovary, and female menses absent or amenorrhea because the menses have again started getting delayed. So try to understand what I have taken is the location here, the site that is affected, the ovary, the right side, the pathophysiology. What is the effect of that pathophysiology? That her menses are getting delayed or the amenorrhea. What is characteristic about that? That she is getting eruptions before the menses, she is getting breast pain before the menses, generalities she was before the menses, and chest pain before the menses, which is aggravated by motion, and mind, lot of mental change. So generalized it, and I studied only this particular totality. Now this totality doesn't have any of her cravings or aversions or physicals or mentals or dreams. If you see this is only her pathophysiological sectoral totality of her menses. Okay. So interestingly, a remedy comes up was pituitary anterior that came up in this case. Unknown remedy to me at that point of time. I'd heard a little about this remedy, but very interesting that when you choose the symptoms of the pathophysiology or the part, you will be surprised to see small remedies in your repertorization. This is again, I want to tell my dear friends that instead of just clubbing all the symptoms together, just taking one mind, one body, one general, one physical, instead of just putting them and studying them, if you feel a part is very important, a local part maybe, or the pathology is very important, just study the pathological symptoms together or the pathophysiological symptoms together, and surprisingly, some new or small remedies will pop up in your repertorization and which you could use very easily in your practice. So the remedy here which comes is anterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary is a sarcode which is actually prepared from the secretions which are secreted by the anterior pituitary gland. And so the source is the pituitary gland of the sheep, and Dr. David Flores has done a lot of clinical observation by giving this particular remedy. So in today, after I think this case I had prescribed around 2 3 years. Now I use anterior pituitary very often in my practice, and I have seen I'm able to see a polycrest remedy in that small Sarcode. Why I call it small? Because at that time I did not know it. The minute I studied it, I realized, oh my god, this whole remedy has a picture like a sepia, a Netramor, and a pulsatilla combination. That is my formula to remember it. Okay, I make things easy for myself. If you could take some hints, good, but you can develop your own formulas. So, for example, anterior pituitary has this particular symptom of disappointment in love, just like Netramor. The typical face pigmentation, like sepia, you'll see this pituitary anterior here, brown spots on the face, sexual libido decreased, just like sepia. You will see again anterior pituitary there. Aversion to everything, aversion even to the loved ones and oneself. A typically indifferent kind of state like sepia. Weeping anger with, again you will see pituitary anterior here, weeping during anger, a mixed emotion. And cravings, if you see, then it has craving for a lot of fatty rich food like cakes, chocolates, eggs, starchy food, fats, which is a classic pulsatilla for me. And that's why I say anterior pituitary is a combination of, so the gastric cravings are just like pulsatilla, the ailment from disappointment is like Netramor, and the built and like the discoloration and sexual desire decreased and complete aversion to everything like sepia. That's how I remember it. And typical concomitant you could remember is a cold perspiration at the beginning of menses. It's like a confirmatory symptom for anterior pituitary. Or anger during ovulation is another confirmatory for anterior pituitary. They are just confirmatory symptoms. So you can see here that there was a simple cyst in the left ovary. There was a simple cyst which was showing the reports, and now it says the previously noted ovarian cyst is no longer seen. It was 14/4 first report and 15/5. So within like a month, the ovarian cyst disappeared with a completely unknown remedy to me, a sarcode. So what I want to tell you is that uh, the the use of sarcodes has really changed the practice when it comes to gynec cases, particularly for me, because I see that a lot of hormones like testosterone, the LH, the FSH, the prolactin also, there could be a lot of problem with all these hormones, and knowing this sarcode individually, using them has helped me. How to use them, I'll discuss. But what I want to tell you is that, as we saw, again, I'm repeating. In first case, we saw the constitutional approach with leg caninum. The second case, we saw only the sectoral totality, only the part totality of the menses. What is another way to elicit symptoms, to find out more symptoms in a case? How to find a peculiar in a case of PCOS. Like I said, go from head to foot, details, premenstrual, menstrual, and postmenstrual symptoms. Okay. And another area is this particular, that what are the new symptoms in place of menses? That means since the amenorrhea, whenever a female comes, since the amenorrhea, what are the changes or what are the other symptoms that is happening? This is also very peculiar. That's a change state you have to understand, and this could also help you to prescribe. For example, you can see here, for example, if it is mercury, it says breast milk in them in place of milk. So whenever with amenorrhea, the lady or the girl might come up with a problem with breast milk, and you can see maybe the prolactin levels are high in this particular case, mercury. bleeding in place of menses, nosebleed in place of menses, with amenorrhea, bryonia, or headaches, headache due to delayed or suppressed menses, that is glonoin. You understand? Every time a lady comes with amenorrhea, the characteristic could be different. For somebody, it could be the head that might be affected. For somebody, it could be the bleeding. For somebody, it could be the breast. So if it is head, then remedies like there's another remedy called Sinosio, which says or somebody's again audio mics are open. Dr. Kamini, please switch it off. Okay, so profuse mucus discharge from any part of the system in place of menstruation. So whenever there is no menses, amenorrhea, but with there, if there is profuse mucus discharge from any part of the system, that means it could be coryza, it could be a gastric catarrh, it could be a skin which is exuding, it could be a good indication for senescence. So what I'm telling you, the common symptoms of lady might have when there is amenorrhea. Try to understand those symptoms. This might be also key indication for prescription. For example, many of the time when they don't have menses, these are the common symptoms we hear. Typically, they say that I have lot of distension of abdomen with suppressed menses. फुला फुला लगता है, पेट बहुत फूल जाता है, this is a very classic, very easily you will get this symptom. And we have rubrics like this, and you will see remedies like apocynon very strong, castoreum very strong, chamomilla, ratania, senesceo, aurelia. So these are the remedies you should think of if there is nothing else you find. But if this symptom is very very prominent, at least this could be your anchor before analyzing the case. Other symptom which might come up, like where somebody says with the suppressed menses or with suppressed no menses, there's a lot of leukorrhea has increased. It's also a very common thing which you hear, and there are rubrics like this. So leukorrhea when the menses are suppressed, and you'll get a whole list of remedies. Very strong remedies like graphites or ferrum or sabina comes up very strong in this rubric. Some people might get head congestion or a heaviness instead of menses when there is amenorrhea. So whenever you don't have menses, what are the symptoms? This could be another opening point in a case. Many of the times we hear that the patient says, doctor, my date was this 30th, and last 30th, I almost had a feeling that I'm getting menses. It almost felt that I'm getting menses, but I didn't get it. We have heard this before, right? Then they say, it feels as if the menses are coming, but I did not get menses. So you have this particular indication. You have a remedy for it, and it's called Gossypium. You can read here, menses late, scanty, and watery, which is classically maybe in a PCOD, delayed and scanty menses. Gossypium also has a very strong affinity for female gynecological organs, causing fibroids, subinvolution, even tumors of the breast. And this is the characteristic. Menses tardy with sensation that the flow is about to start yet does not do so. अभी मेंसेस आने वाला है ऐसा लगा but नहीं हुआ. So if you hear this typically, then few doses of Gossypium, maybe mother tincture, could help to push for them to get the menses. So these are some hints. When you don't get menses, what are the symptoms? What are the troubles that's bothering you? Here you could also focus and find out a remedy which could relieve them. So coming to the Sarcodes. So what I have seen in my practice, that use of Sarcodes has really changed the practice. It's really helping me. And the more Sarcodes I have studied, I am able to pick it up easily in my practice. Where do we find it? I think right now one of the best book is written by Dr. Gaurang. It's a combination of Nosodes and Sarcode, a book by Dr. Gaurang Gaikwad, which has clubbed up all the symptoms of all possible nosocots and sarcoids, I would really request clinicians, people who are in practice, if you really want to study these nosor sarcoids, get hold of that book. It will have indications from mental to physical, everything about every particular nosor and sarcoid. Okay. So typically in PCOS or any other case, when to use sarcoids? So like what we did in the first case, that when if a sarcoid covers most of the characteristic symptom, for example, anterior pituitary, breast pain, any rough motion aggravate was a very peculiar symptom of anterior pituitary. If you're if in that particular symptom, if you see a particular sarcoid, if in a very small characteristic symptom, if you see a sarcoid, that is a one good hint to choose that sarcoid. Second, when you see common symptoms of that particular hormone in a case, for example, I'll tell you with an example next, that if for example, if there is a picture of lack of estrogen, if there is lack of estrogen, the whole picture might look like that, and how you can use estrogen there, or if it's a case of testosterone, how excess of testosterone might give a complete different picture. So when a common symptoms of that particular hormone is there, for example, take thyroidinum, if there is excessive weight loss or excessive weight gain or excessive sluggishness or excessive restlessness or complete dryness of the skin or hair fall. So any so when you see in the whole case, the the clinical symptoms are talking more. The characteristics are not seen, but the clinical picture of that particular hormone are standing out. That is a good indication to give that particular sarcoma. Or when a well selected remedy is still not acting as per your judgment. So if you see, if you have given a very good remedy, maybe tried couple of potencies, but still if you see one particular hormone is causing obstruction, this is a time they can use a sarco. I would like to give an example here. For example, let us understand testosterone. Now, it says Murphy's Materia Medica that most common side effect of using testosterone in both men and women include increased facial and body hair, oily skin or acne, male pattern baldness, water retention, joint stiffness, soreness at the injection site. Lab tests also show increased level of liver enzymes. A deepened or a hoarse voice, growth of the clitoris, and menstrual irregularities have been reported in women. The masculinizing side effect may be irreversible in women and even for a short after a short-term use. So what you say, if a male or a female, if they take a lot of testosterone, or if your the polycystic ovaries also typically secrete hormones uh, which is like a testosterone hormone. Also, the fat tissue in our body, that's why reducing fat was very important. The fat tissue in the body is capable of producing a hormone which eventually get converted to testosterone. So whenever there's high level of testosterone, classically we know this, that male like pattern of baldness, so losing frontal hair which we see in males because of testosterone, or also in females in this hair loss, frontal baldness, or lot of other facial hairs which is typically seen in men, but also when a levels increase in a female body, you'll have lot of coarse body hair, hair on the upper lip or the chin. The face is typically oily with lot of acne or pimples. Now, if you see a patient like this, so if the clinical picture is like this, that if you see a lady with PCOD with lot of frontal baldness, if you see lot of acne, there is amenorrhea, hirsutism, facial hair, and reduced bone mass, then this is a good indication. And if there is blood levels of testosterone themselves are high, this is a good hint to prescribe testosterone along with your constitution. Along with your constitution means as an intercurrent in between to when your constitutional doesn't work. Okay, this is not a rule that every patient who has a high level of testosterone you will give testosterone. No, when your constitutional approach doesn't work, that's what I'm telling, in PCOS cases you can use this sarcodes, and I have particularly seen in my practice the results are much better when I have used this as intercurrent. Okay, so in females, typically the source of the testosterone could be ovaries themselves, adrenal glands, and androstenedione. That's a male a hormone which eventually get converted to testosterone, and also the fatty tissue. So we have to be careful in PCOS to reduce weight because the testosterone increases or the male hormones increases in the body. So going back here, when to use a SAR code, when you have a characteristic of a particular SAR code, you can use that. Or when a general picture looks like a particular hormone, you can use a SAR code. Or when your well selected remedy is not helping, that is the time you could think of a SAR code. Okay. So understanding the pathophysiology of any disease is important. So anybody, when a student tells me how to solve a case, first I say, first read about PCOD, understand the common symptoms of PCOD, understand the common symptoms of that particular estrogen or progesterone, and then only you will be able to see the uncommon or the characteristic in the case. So understanding the pathophysiology of every disease is important. For example, what we have seen in PCOD is classical polycystic appearance of the ovary, obesity, facial hair, acne, acanthosis, and infertility. Now, if you understand this picture, you can make your own materia medica. For example, I have made something here. So the common PCOD remedies, something like calibrome graphite. So I have put together, I can tell you, we have, I think, 6 minutes. Some remedies like Apis mellifica and formica, Podophyllum lilium tig, Colocynth ostilago, Folliculinum euphorinatum, Thuja medorinum, Natrum ca borax. So both the pairs have some similarities, and these are typically chosen by understanding the pathophysiology. Let's start with calibrome. Okay, the common therapeutics I'm doing for PCOD. You can see Alan says it's adapted for large person inclined to obesity. So obesity is a very common feature in calibrome. This is a classic thing we see in also PCOD as a common symptom of the disease, right? Borik says it is a very good remedy for cystic tumors of the ovary. What is the classic presentation in a PCOD? There are multiple cysts. That is also pathophysiology in calibrome, that there is a cystic appearance of the ovaries. So fattiness, cystic appearance, and the concomitant, that is acne or pustules. We know calibrome is almost a specific, some people use for bad acne, or when they come up in a cluster, or acne rosacea. So acne as a concomitant. The cause typically could be any mental disturbance, anger, fright, worry, sexual excess also. So you can see Nair repertory saying that ovaries, typically the left side, swelling, defined clearly elastic tumor in the left iliac region, tumor measurement taken over the line of the iliac crest, increase in the size of 10 inches. So classical, the left-sided ovarian tumors have been cured with calibrome. Okay, and this could be one of the most important remedies in PCOD. The mind of calibrome could be somebody who's constantly fidgety, restless hands, very much suspicious, and always innate guilt feeling as if he has done something wrong, or is he gonna do something wrong, or is he committed a crime. So it's a criminal of feeling as if he has done something criminal. So he's always very nervous, anxious, restless, looking here and there. So if you see this fidgety in young people, fatty people, left-sided affection with classic acne and obesity, calibrome you should think of. So summarized here, large ovarian tumors, acne, and there could be symptoms like headaches or epilepsy before menses, restless hand, and guilt feeling. I'll not do everything. I just want to give you a hint how to study the remedies from the pathophysiology, okay, of a disease. So the next remedy is graphites. Another classic remedy, very important for PCOD or any gynec related condition, typically PCOD. Let's see, it says it's suited to women inclined to obesity. Again, you have a tendency to put on who suffer from habitual constipation, history of delayed menstruation. What else we want in a PCOD case, right? So when there's a classic history of periods have been always delayed since puberty and tendency put on weight, think of graphites. Don't forget graphites as a remedy. uh, it says hardness of the left ovary typically after menses. Okay, and as we learned that symptom, leukorrhea in place of menses. When you don't get menses, amenorrhea, there's a lot of leukorrhea secretion. Again, a very good hint for graphites. So fat people, constipated people, delayed, always delayed menses. So if you see rubrics, it says menses are delayed by 7 days or 10 days or even 5 months, and you see graphites as a remedy there. Leukorrhea instead of menses, and swelling of the ovary typically after menses. This is a very peculiar symptom of graphites. Post, the ovary is affected post menstruation. Okay. So just based on the build of the patient, we have two remedies, calibrome, graphites. Looking at the pathology itself, if your report, PCOD report says very huge, uh, a hugely dropsical ovary, if the cysts are too big, there's too much of collection, a large cystic ovary, what to do? Don't worry, we have remedies like that. Understand the pathophysiology, try to find a remedy in Materia Medica. So EPI says amenorrhea of puberty, ovaries numb and congested with suppressed menses and ovarian cyst. Classically, we know EPIS is a remedy for dropsy or swelling. In PCOD also, when your ovaries are swollen, you will think of EPIS. Another, it's a right-sided remedy. Okay, menses are scanty, hardly 1 day or 2 days, and you will see mentally lot of jealousy. Sister remedy to EPIS is Formica rufa. Actually, it's produced from ant. Patak says ovarian cyst containing water or blood. Now we are talking about the chocolate cyst from the symptom in the Materia Medica. Okay. The mind of Formica could be work, desire, routinistic. They are not very intellectual, but they somebody who like routinistic work. I think our session will end here. I will wait quickly and then I'll just summarize the whole thing, maybe a couple of more remedies to discuss. But if you understand the point, I think we need not go in detail of every remedy. So Formica for chocolate cyst, this is a remedy who has tendency to form polyps. So classically, very good remedy for cervical polyps or uterine polyps. This is a very common pathology also with PCOD we'll find. It is right side. I will not go in detail. I think our time is up. I will quickly summarize the session. So PCOD, we understood what is a common symptoms of PCOD, how to diagnose it, that out of 3 criteria, when 2 are present, it is a good case. How to approach different cases, a constitutional approach. And typically in PCOD cases, if you just do a sectoral totality of the menses, complaint before, during, after menses, also a good hint. How to go about it? Always from head to foot in detail, every part, so that you get concomitants. Symptoms which appear when you have amenorrhea, like abdomen distension or epistaxis or headache. This could be also a very characteristic indication to prescribe a remedy. Okay. We saw the use of Sarcodes in using PCOS, that remedies like testosterone, when the high level of testosterone in the blood, or frontal baldness, or lot of facial hair and acne, this is a good indication. Or when the picture of one particular hormone stands out, it is a good indication to prescribe that particular hormones. Or when a characteristic is present, like how in my case of anterior pituitary, only by taking the characteristic anterior pituitary came up, we could give that sarcode. So use of sarcodes in PCOS has really helped. And how to study the remedies and the pathophysiology of the remedies. For example, I shared this. um if the understanding the obesity is a common symptom of PCOD, if we understand remedies like calibrome and graphites, then we can really study the materia medica like that. You can see here, if you understand the ovarian dropsy or swelling, then typically Apis and Formica rufa comes up. Interestingly, Formica has a bloody cyst and polyps, so it could be a good remedy for chocolate cyst. Uh, Podophyllum and Lilium tig. Lot of neuralgias or pains from the ovaries going down the legs if you study them. Colocynth ostilage also pain remedies in dysmenorrhea. Polyculinum oforinum, another two very useful sarcodes which we could use in practice. When the general growth and tumor and the pathology is too much, think of no source like Thuya and Medorinum as an intercurrent when your constitutional fails. And lastly, the remedies for infertility as a complication of PCOD. Think of remedies like natrum, carb, and borax. So, understanding the pathophysiology of that any disease, you can develop your own materia medica, or you can study materia medica with the common symptoms, and you might be able to choose the remedies well. Okay, so I think that's all I had to share. I hope there were some points which you could learn from or maybe use in your practice. Happy to share whatever I know. If you have any questions, you can write to me amruta.hede@gmail.com, and I'll be able to help you if I'll try my best. And yeah, I want to hear from you how the session was, and I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you very much. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Yes, Dr. Amrita.
Yeah, doctor. Yeah, many. Yeah, I think I'm done, and you could take over or you could end the session.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
thank you so much. It was wonderful. And we have learned a lot about the SAR codes as well, that how to use them. So we have few questions. Can we take them up?
Yes.
So, so Sanket is asking why we are taking the common symptoms of disease condition like facial hair growth and the other symptoms.
Where?
Yeah. So
Why are we?
why are we taking the common symptoms of the disease?
When? In the analysis?
Yeah, in the analysis of the PCOD case, so the facial growth, the ovarian swelling, and all these symptoms are the common
Yeah.
symptoms of disease.
Yeah. So what I am telling you is, once you understand the common symptoms of a disease, you can find the common symptoms in the materia medica which are prominent. Okay. For example, PCOD has cystic swellings. So this is a common symptom of PCOD, but try to find which remedy has this kind of pathophysiology very strong or prominently. And this could be the remedies which could be used. That's what I want to tell you, that remedies which can produce something like a cystic or a dropsical swelling. This could be one way to study the materia medica for PCOD. I'm not suggesting these are the remedies you should be using. For example, testosterone, hair growth is a very common symptom in PCOS. And if you understand, this is also a very common symptom in testosterone. Or there's another remedy called Oleum jacoris in Fatak, which says a lot of coarse facial hair. So if you know some specifics like this, when your constitutional doesn't work, you can use remedies like this. So I'm telling you, from the common symptoms, you can develop your own materia medica and try to have some remedies as a help in because PCOD, which looks like a very common and an easy disease, when you actually start treating, you realize it's not that easy. You tend to get lot of blocks here. I think I had another slide which talks about the blocks, which could be the hormones you have taken in the past. For example, somebody has taken a lot of OC pills, something like a aristolochia might come up. So it's better to know what are the things which we could use when there are blocks, and you could think in these lines. I typically think in these lines, which help me in my practice.
Okay. Okay. One more question is there. Role of folliculinum in PCOD and infertility.
Folliculinum is a very, very big polycrest if we want to discuss. And you see lot of premenstrual aggravations. It's a real polycrest remedy. It has a classic mind symptoms, like somebody who has undergone lot of domination, mental domination or suppression, and it has many characteristic physical symptoms, and many of the folliculinum symptoms are premenstrual aggravations. I have a case, typically the chief complaint was itself a lot of premenstrual problems, like lot of anger and agitation and breast pain, and folliculinum helped beautifully. So yes, I have used folliculinum in PCOD cases when premenstrual common symptoms of premenstrual aggravation. That's what again I want to tell you. Like anybody, any lady might have little bit of breast tenderness or tendency to put on weight before menses. But when these symptoms exceed or are too much, for example, lot of puffiness, lot of weight gain before menses, or lot of cravings before menses, or too much of breast pain before menses, these are again common premenstrual symptoms. But when in a case when these symptoms are highlighted to that extent that there are no characteristics, but when the common symptoms stand out so much, folliculinum is a good remedy to give for this kind of premenstrual aggravations when the common symptoms stand out a lot, like putting on weight, like lot of cravings before menses, lot of mood swings before menses. This is a good indication for and breast pain before menses is a good indication for folliculinum, with a typical mind symptom of being strong domination, people who have been dominated and suppressed. So many books will say folliculinum follows well after carcinosin. So you'll see the picture looks like carcinosin, somebody who's then dominated or suppressed or controlled. But when the effect is on female genital, think of folliculinum. Yeah, Dr. Yamini.
Yes, yes, Dr. Bukka. Thank you so much. Also, one last question that Dr. Shweta Bihani is asking, that does facial hair go with our medicines?
The whether the
Facial hair,
facial
the
hair
hirsutism.
growth decreases.
Yes.
Yes,
Does
yes,
that go
this I have
away?
seen. See, the hair which has grown already, you need threading for that. They will not, they are not gonna fall like that. But with the constitutional prescription or with any method of prescription, I have seen once the disease goes down, the rate at which the hair comes, it considerably goes down. Especially in that first case of leg caninum, uh, there was no other intercurrents actually used, like pesties or nothing was used. But over a period of now 1.5 year, she says the vaccine, the amount she used to do, it has come down drastically. So we can reduce the rate of hair growth. Naturally, the hair which is grown won't fall. Okay, so we can slow down.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. So that was our
Yes.
last question. And yeah, one more. I'm sorry. Which potency we should use in PCOS cases? A lot of people are asking.
Okay. So classically, again, I want to discuss that when it comes to the level of matching. So if you are giving any remedy, for example, if you study Euphorianum, I think I can just discuss a little bit about Euphorianum here. So Euphorianum is a remedy where it is said that when nothing works, you can try Euphorianum. It is written like this in the books. When no remedy works, you can think of Euphorianum. See, you can read here. It has been suggested as a remedy for ovarian cyst, and especially when no other remedy. So when your constitutional remedy, everything has failed, something which you are giving very specific, you have to give in low potencies because there's nothing higher that is matched. But if you are matching the mind symptoms and the generals, then the same remedy you could give in high potencies. For example, that particular case of folliculinum I treated, the approach was 3201 m because even the mentals matched in that case. So I could give high potency. But for any particular case, if I'm giving a very, just based on the clinical symptoms, then I'll choose a low potency for Sarcodes. For any general remedy, how to go give it, like your constitutional remedy, how to repeat it, just follow Hahnemann's guiding, how what is told to us. Always start from the low potency, step up. If there is pathology, there's a lot of growths or tumors, then classically LM potencies help. So after your you can start with a C potency, like you can start with maybe Calcarea Carb 200, followed by any LM potency for some time. There are doctors who treat like this. There are doctors who directly start LM without giving C potency. That is also fine. So typically when the pathology is gross, Hahnemann himself in the last edition of Organon has spoken about LM potencies. So you can use LM potencies for pathological conditions.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for such an informative and enlightening session, and also for giving all the answers to the queries. Thank you so much, Dr. Amrita. It was really a
Thank you,
wonderful
Ramana.
session. We have learned a few very, very important remedies, and also the cases you shared were really nice. Thanks a lot for giving your
Thank you
precious
very
time.
much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And
Bye.
guys, I hope you have enjoyed it. I can see in the comments that you have really like enjoyed the whole session, the effort of Dr. Amrita. So thank you. I express my heartfelt gratitude on behalf of Homeopathy Junction and Asha Homeopathic Academy, and from all the participants, Dr. Amrita. Thank you again. And
Thank you.
guys,
Thank you very much.
enjoy yourself, and keep learning and keep sharing your feedback also. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Good day to everyone.
Bye bye.